pleased to have so many of you joining us here this morning for such a momentous occasion. As many of you know, World Dairy Expo will celebrate its 50th anniversary next year, and so to celebrate this milestone, we are so very excited to kick off the celebration this year with the release of our 50th commemorative book, We Need a Show, reminiscing on the last 50 years of Expo and its rich dairy heritage here in Madison, Wisconsin. The project spanned 3 years, and we're going to hear about that in a little bit. It was a collaboration of dozens of volunteer writers who put in hundreds of hours of research, writing, heart, and soul. In all, 40 writers contributed to the book, bringing to life 50 years of World Dairy Expo. With 8 chapters and over 200 photos, the hardcover book features interviews with Expo legends and iconic images to bring the story truly to life. The book's title hints at the origins of World Dairy Expo and the need to have a show right here in World Dairy Expo. And that show was brought to life by the late Alan Hetz, and we are so privileged to have his family joining us here this morning. So on behalf of World Dairy Expo again, welcome. Thank you so much for being a part of this history. And I'd like to introduce Corey Geiger, the co-editor of We Need a Show. Please join me in welcoming him.
Colorful recollections that we could have put in that book, but we had to make decisions. What this book does chronicle is the story of the birth of World Dairy Expo and how this show developed into the must-attend event, balanced between the cattle show and its wonderful trade show. I want to thank former General Manager Mark Clark for fostering the idea of this book, along with former Communications and Public Relations Manager Janet Keller for coming to Fort Atkinson and planting the seeds for this. Steve Larson, our co-editor on this, my mentor, and the longtime managing editor of Hoard's Dairyman. Steve worked with me hand in hand for 3 years on this. Steve's a gifted wordsmith. He's better than I am. And his thoughtfulness and editing was so valuable to this project. I was kind of the ring director. He was the word man. His service to the World Dairy Expo Board of Directors and this executive committee on the board further glued this book together. There's a lady here, Kelly Wood. She's the lady behind the scenes, and I want Kelly to stand. I know she's going to get a red face, but due to her modesty, she served as the quality control agent. Kelly took ownership of this book. She read every manuscript, proofed everything, and spent 18 months working on this in between wiggling in our full-time jobs. Thank you. To the entire World Dairy Expo staff, I want to say thank you for all your work. We called, we emailed, and I know that we got quick responses. We needed them though. Liz Matsky and Janet Keller, who has worked on this book, were the troops that rallied their co-workers. We had so much research. The amount of research this staff did was immeasurable, because we needed to get this right. There's no redos on this book. It was that research that served as the bedrock for the book and established facts such as 1984 was the definitive year that the colored shavings were laid out on the Coliseum floor. Our We Need a Show book committee, Steve Larson, Liz, Janet, Roger Ripley, a former president of World Dairy Expo, Jim Leuenberger, a gifted journalist who was on this board of directors for 28 years, and Lindsay Rux, who along with Liz ensured the youth component in this book was also included. We spent 1 year capturing the thumbnail and the working template for what this book would become. Brad, I know traffic is a little bit thick today. There are 3 legs of this stool. We had the writers, we had the photos, and then we had Brad Nellis. He became a member of our We Need a Show committee. He worked closely with World Dairy Expo for many years to develop the themed artwork, and he turned, as Steve said, the photos and copy into a beautiful, beautiful work of art. And Brad was important. Our photos, we need to credit our photographers. They don't have names on their pictures. Nina is one of them. Our photos came from a number of sources. Those early years, we needed to document them. There was a guy named James Baird, longtime art director of Hoard's Dairyman. He captured the images of those first 5 years when many still didn't believe in the fledgling show. Without Jim, there would be not one photo from those first 5 years. We're indebted to Kathy DeBrun and Agar Graphics, who allowed us to go through all their negatives from 1974 and on, and we sat at her offices a number of days sorting through negatives, finding what these pictures, these people that we got to document. Also, the late Rick Smith, Brian Ebert, current art director of Hoard's Dairyman, and Nina contributed images of the project, as did a handful of other media outlets. Our 40 authors deserve a bow. Every one of these special people wrote these articles for the good of the cause, just like the Hetz and the Magnuson and the Nelson and the Bagley families did. They did it because it was the right thing to do. Let's welcome Roy Hetz.
Thank you. I'd like to thank World Dairy Expo for inviting our family here to kick off the celebration of the 50-year anniversary of the greatest dairy show on earth. Also thanks to Corey Geiger, Steve Larson, of Hoard's Dairyman, for recognizing my father, Alan Hetz, for his contributions to World Dairy Expo in the beautiful four-color work we need to show. We're happy that my mother, Doris Hetz, is able to be here with us, along with all the given chores of a farm wife and mother. Mom handled all of Dad's correspondence, and in the late 60s, the amount was formidable. She would work late into the evening, turning Dad's dictations into neatly typed letters. Dad's favorite activity was showing cattle. He was in the show mode 365 days a year. And I think he's got a lot of company out, these two beautiful barns out here this week. With all the advancements in genetics, nutrition, and dairy herd management, Dad would hardly recognize the dairy landscape to 2015. Still, 42 years after his passing, lots of dairy producers still share Dad's love of competition and his quest for perfection. Somehow, some way, in the early autumn of every year, the finest dairy cattle in North America find their way to Madison. Again, on behalf of my entire family, thank you, World Dairy Expo. Thank you, Hoard's Dairyman.